haven't even looked at the camera.
Do you worry about what will happen to your child if anything ever happened to you? Come find peace and hope. Join the alignment today.
Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Bergina, and I am joined for the Autism Alignment. This is the launch, woohoo, of the Autism Alignment Movement, and these are the interviews that are part of the Autism Alignment Movement. So I know there are quite a few people that are in the room right now. So let me just tell you how we do things. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I am Dr. Bergina, and what I do is I help people to transform their lives by developing a mindset for growth and success, specifically as it relates to dealing with the special needs lifestyle. So whether you or a loved one has a special need, everyone that you're going to see on the interview panel tonight does have a loved one with a special need. And the CHOP is in honor of children with special needs. It's not St. Baldrick's yet, but we'll see how far I take it between now and the end of April. But what we are doing is we're trying to increase advocacy and awareness for our children, our family members, our coworkers, our colleagues who have different abilities, okay? Different, not less, as Temple Grandin says. So many of you know that I have a son with a diagnosis of autism, and I also have other folks in my family who have a variety of other special needs. But what you may not know is that the folks that I have with me tonight, I call them the tag team, and you'll see exactly why I call them that. You see them tagging back and forth, that liquid courage.
You're ready.
So clearly they're Nazi toddlers. I've got my water over here. Maybe I need to be over there with you guys.
A little bit strong. Just a little bit.
Hello. Okay, so please feel free to chat, to say hello. So I'm already going to just say everyone. Oh, no, I am seeing snow. So Alan, you says you're seeing snow. What about everyone else? Rochelle says hello. Ramon says hello. Alan says hello. So are we good? Is everyone seeing not just snow? Everybody seeing us? Okay, raise your hands if you're sure, or you actually can ask. You can raise your hand. You can, if you are in the audience, you can raise your hand and ask to come on in. But I see Trisha is joining us. I would like to know where people are from. So before we announce the folks that are that are our presenters, I want to know who's watching, where you're from. So Ramon, I know you are out in California, and Trisha, you are in the Philippines. Thank you so much. So Rochelle, remind me, where are you, Rochelle? What part of the country are you in? And Alan, same for you. If you want to remind us where you are, and anyone else that wants to chat and let us know where we are, because again, the reason that we're doing this alignment movement is to connect people. It's for networking, it's for collaborating, it's for sharing ideas. You're going to learn about some great ideas. We are launching this series with these two phenomenal women for a reason. Number one, they've made a huge impact in my life as it relates to mindset. And I am a psychiatrist. I'm a public health professional. And I've been a parent for going on 16 years. So if I can learn some new tricks, you definitely can as well. And some of the mindset shift that I've had to do has taken place just within the last 2 years. So you're going to learn, you're going to hear from the woman who's literally changed my life, changed my family's life. Rochelle, you're out in Ohio. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so we've got the United States covered. We've got from East Coast to West Coast, as well as on the other side of the globe. So good morning, Trisha. I know it's about 9 or 10 o'clock on your time in the morning over there. So everybody say hi, Trisha. Hi, Rochelle. Hi, Alan. Hello, Ramon. So anybody else that wants to chime in, let us know where you are. I see there are many more folks. You don't have to say where you're from or who you are, but that's okay. But we're about to find out who these ladies are and where they're from. So on my left, you will see the phenomenal, wonderful, lovely Dawn Allen. Hi, Dawn. And on my right, and on my good
to have us here.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm very glad. I'm excited to have you guys. This is phenomenal. You're going to learn about some of the things that they've done just in the last 3 weeks. I just want to tell you, just in the last 3 weeks, it's going to be incredibly educational, whether you're a momtrepreneur or, a professional stay-at-home mom, whether you're out of the home or in the home. The things that they're going to share with you tonight are just going to be literally, they're life-changing. And on the right is, I would call her my cup buddy and my roll dog, but I don't I don't know. Can I use that language?
Oh,
on the right.
Be my guest.
Feel free. I am the hostess, so I guess I can say what I want, right?
What I tell you, be free. Be free. That's how we roll.
That is Daria Boyd. And whether you know it or not, whether anyone else knows it or not, we've already got our children betrothed. So they're guaranteed. We're guaranteed to be in each other's lives up until now. Okay, so let's see. So Rochelle is basically saying that you can't chat with it on YouTube. Not sure how. Came out of the live to reply. Okay, so there are some folks who are in the live and there's some folks who are in YouTube. So if you are watching on YouTube, then you're right. You won't be able to chat and reply. Please come into the jam session if you want to ask a question, especially if you want to answer the polls that we're going to have. We only have one poll for, maybe one or two polls for tonight. And then I've got a few offers. So if you're interested in telling us, sharing what's on your mind, that is great. That's wonderful. We invite that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let them take the floor. I'm really just here to just facilitate. These are the interviewees who literally, they're just going to take the show, guys. So Dawn Allen and Daria Boyd are both mothers. And they are also not only mothers, but they are professional women. They are married, so they're wives. And they manage to juggle all of those things in addition to other things that they're doing with children who have diagnosis of autism. So ladies, you take turns. Whoever wants to start, you're certainly welcome. But tell me how you entered into your journey with having a special needs child. What's the first thing that happened in each of your lives?
So I'll go first. So my autistic child is my son. He's currently 15, and he is my second child. So I had a typically developing child, my daughter, whom is now 17. I have to think about that. Don't mind me. I have 3 kids, so I sometimes have to think about that. But for his development, I compared it to his sister's development, and I can tell the different. I can tell the differences in the milestones that were happening or not happening, and slowly but surely, starting from birth, I saw that he was not engaging, lack of eye contact, lack of, and compared to my older daughter, the red flags definitely went off that we may have an issue here.
Okay.
And that's how our journey got started.
And you're smiling now, but when this first happened, was there, when you said the red flags were kind of going off, is this something that you just kind of worried about on your own and kept to yourself? Or is it kind of like, well, they're different, but he's a boy, boys are behind. Did you go immediately run into your pediatrician or your developmental specialist? What was going on in your mind? And then what did you do?
So initially, the first thoughts that went through my mind was, he's a boy. He's going to develop slower than a girl. And I brought it to my pediatrician's attention, and he reiterated that. He's a boy, and he's going to develop slower than his sister, so you shouldn't compare. Okay. And as a mom, I went with that. I wanted that to be true, right. And I waited patiently for him to catch up to his sister. It wasn't until he was about 12 months old and he still wasn't babbling. And he can play with toys, but he wouldn't want to play with his sister or was never excited to see me or his father, never wanted to engage with us. And so around 12 months, I said, okay, we really have an issue here. But for the first 12 months, deep down inside, I really wanted the doctor to be correct. And I told myself I need to be patient, and I shouldn't compare the two. And it wasn't until actually around 14 months that I actually contacted infant and toddlers to evaluate him. Because believe it or not, the doctors were still telling me after his 12-month visit, give him more time, he's going to be okay. And so I went ahead and took it upon myself to start getting him evaluated.
Good for you. Now, later on this month, as a part of the interview series, each month we're going to have parents like yourselves come and talk with us. And then towards the end of the month, they may still be parents, but they are experts in their field. And later on this month, we're going to have Dr. Dana Stewart talk with us. And we're going to pick apart some of the information that you're sharing right now. And, you know, there has been a shift, you know, like you said, your son is 15 years old. There has been a shift in at least the last 10 years, where now we're being incredibly proactive about early diagnosis, at least here in the United States. That may not be the case in everyone's country, but here in the United States, they're being incredibly proactive about early diagnosis for, like you said, infants and tots, for early intervention. So Daria, I'm gonna ask you to tell me how your story is a wee bit different, because you've got the flip-flop. For Dawn, you had an older neurotypical child, and then a child who came in later that you said, you know what, something's not up. Daria, how is it different for you?
Well, my child, who's a daughter, has autism. She was my first child, so my first experience. However, to me, she was on the correct developmental path. She was babbling, crawling, great eye contact, smiling. And then it just seemed all of a sudden she just started slipping away from me. I began to lose her eye contact. She wouldn't talk anymore, babble. She was saying words before, you know. Then she started walking on her toes, and then started to pace back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I was like, hold up, something ain't right here. You know, you think, you know, maybe she's just going through something for that period of time, but in my gut, something not right, even though she was my first child. And then here, Dawn, and this is what I say, where, you know, your friends are your true friends. She told me, oh, you need to go get that baby tested. You know, and and I could have been salty. I could have been real salty and could have said, well, how dare you tell me what's wrong with my child? But because she knew, and she was already in the game, you know, and I knew it wasn't coming from a malicious part of her, a malicious place. And I took her advice, and her advice was the best thing that ever happened to me, you know, because I was open to hearing, you know, the truth, and I took action. You know, but like I said, she was my first child. I didn't have any, you know, another child to compare to. It was just, you just knew, you know, that something was off. So that was my situation. And then I immediately took her to a developmental pediatrician, where they did diagnose her with autism. And then Dawn instructed me to get her into infants and toddlers. And I did that as well. And like I said, early intervention is critical. It's critical in this game. Yes.
Now, for the folks who may be watching, who maybe they weren't able to get their child at early intervention, or again, some countries, they may not have that. What recommendation would you give as parents in terms of talking with what they do have? Most places they will have a physician, a pediatrician, even if it's not a neurodevelopmental pediatrician. I'm not just thinking about outside the country. I'm thinking about rural areas in the United States where they may not have a specialist. Is there any recommendation that you would give as parents for allowing them to reach out? You know, what way could they have, you know, if they don't have a Dawn in their life, what could they do?
You can do research. I mean, now like you say, the social media. This is something that, you know, you can have access to a lot of, you know, information. Going to different doctors, getting second opinions. You know, I think that's important. You know, some doctors you feel are better than others, or more upfront with you. But I think that if you are adamant and persistent, and you know something is wrong, you keep pushing until you get to that doctor that's going to, you know, give you the information that you need.
Yes.
Good for you. Good for you.
You know, you have to trust your gut. You have to trust that maternal instinct. And it wasn't until my son was 3 years old until he was officially diagnosed. And I went to 4 different specialists, 3 who told me that they didn't think autism was the diagnosis. And what I did was I went to different doctors and basically followed up with what I have previously heard and compared notes with them. And finally, I reached a doctor that can look at him for 5 seconds and say, you know what, that's autism.
Okay. And it can be difficult because, again, what's the old adage? If you've seen one child with autism, you've seen one child with autism, because there's high functioning, there's folks that don't have certain repetitive behaviors. And I think sometimes we forget that literally it's a list. You know, the DSM-5 is a list, and the doctor's looking to see, okay, check, check, check. So I'm glad that you said that when your gut was not satisfied, you just went to a different doctor. And I don't think that's doctor shopping, personally. Again, I'm a physician, and personally, I would not say that I think that's doctor shopping. I think that's doing due diligence, because not every physician is familiar. At least, like you said, 15 years ago, we didn't have the testing that we have right now. Like, there's a screen in most pediatricians' office now that we look at. That screen didn't exist 15 years ago.
Okay, right.
Okay. But I wanted to segue into one of the things that you said, Daria, was that Dawn, you were able to rely on some of the information that she shared, because she kind of been there before, and when she gave you some advice. So I want you to tell me about how the two of you connected, because did you connect after your children were born, or was there a connection before that?
Well, we connected. We knew each other because we went to same college, Howard University. So we knew of each other, and our husbands are great friends, good friends. And but once we got, after college, then we became a little bit more connected, especially when my daughter, was going through her transformation, as I tell people, and she was just there. And I knew her, her husband, her son. I was familiar with it, but you don't really think it's going to hit home,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, we're friends. And then, wow, I'm going to go through the same thing. So, so that's the interesting part of this situation. We've always been friends, but who'd have thought that we both would have kids with autism,
Right.
Yeah.
And we live 10 minutes apart now.
Exactly. And we live right behind each other. Yes. Yeah,
we see you guys are together.
Who would have thought? But it helped build our friendship even tighter. Right. You connect with people for different reasons, and this built our friendship even tighter.
Okay. Now, speaking of building it tighter, there is a statistic that floats around, and it varies. The typical divorce statistic is about 50%, but it is substantially higher in families where there are special needs. So I'm going to ask a two-part question. I'm going to ask the first part first, which is, you said this kind of drew you together. There are some friendships and even marriages where having a special needs child almost puts a wedge and pushes them apart. So how did this draw you guys together and not push you apart?
I think just being open-minded and receiving, I want to say, positive feedback on our situation from each other, just not taking anything personal. We live different lives, and it's easy to judge one another regardless of what we have in common. And I think the fact that we are open with each other, we can laugh. And that is one thing that we share. We can laugh at each other.
And laugh at the situation.
Right.
Like I tell people, even though we are our parents of autistic children, we laugh at them. And we feel that it is what it is, but like you said, we're honest with one another up front. We don't take it personal. And I think that's key. You have to, be open-minded and accept the information and learn from each other.
I love that. And I certainly, I'm a witness that is helpful. Some of you know, if you were able to be a part of the original series, Di Maitland, who's with us from, I'm not sure if you're in South Africa now or New Zealand, Di, but when I did the original interview series last year, Di Maitland was a part of that series. Daria, you were part of that series. Yeah. And when we spoke last year, you were basically sharing the exact same things that you're sharing now in terms of developing that mindset where, sometimes things will happen and you just have to find the silver lining or find the proper perspective or positive perspective. Or like you said, in your case, just laugh at it. Your children will do things and there are times that you just have to laugh at it. I did the the How to Have Joy in Parenting, which some of you have probably seen if you've come into the series for the pre-launch. And basically, I talk about the fact that poop happens. And you have to look at it as, is this poop or is this fertilizer? You know, because that's what poop is. It's fertilizer. You know, is this an opportunity for you to grow, or is this something to get bent out of shape? What did you say?
Because they're going to get into it. Because she just turned 8, and we're getting the pottying down. We're not quite there, but we're getting there. But now she thinks playing in the toilet is fun, you know? So we just laugh with it. We just roll with it. I can't complain because now at least she's going to the bathroom, you know? So I ain't gonna take nothing away from her. If that's what you need to do to go to the bathroom, girl, put your hand in the toilet. If that's gonna get you to go to the bathroom, you do your thing. That's what I say, you know? And roll with it. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. I'm not gonna stress myself. She's going to the bathroom now. She might put her hand in it before she goes. At least it's clean water. You know what I'm saying? So we haven't got to the point where it's something in it. But other than that, I got her into the bathroom, Bergina. So, Dr.
Okay. Good for you. And I applaud that. We have to celebrate the milestones. I think that's important, to celebrate the milestones. Families who have neurotypical children may either let those things pass. I mean, I think everybody gets excited about potty training. But again, when you have a child who's 8, and they're potty training, no offense, but I think that's extra special. So congratulations, congratulations, yay. And she just celebrated her 8th birthday, yes?
Yes.
She has something else to celebrate for her birthday, because I wanted to ask you both about co-occurring disorders. So Daria, your daughter has several allergies and some other things that are going on. So could you just talk about how you've, again, just kind of rolled with all of these medical concerns, particularly the allergies? And again, the reason I thought about the celebration is she had a milestone with one of her allergies, right?
Right. Okay. Yes. My daughter, she's allergic to everything. When I say everything, she's allergic to eggs, wheat, dairy, peanut butter, shellfish, beef. Who's allergic to beef? You know, everything. So when I say eats clean, she eats clean. You know, she's very healthy, very healthy. But again, you just build your life around it. You know, I mean, you have no choice to build your life around it. She's also was diagnosed with a genetic abnormality called NAA15. It's a gene that no one even knows about, really. So they're trying to do research on it. But again, no one can give me any answers about, you know, this genetic abnormality. So what I do, I just keep it moving, and again, I accept the situation for what it is, and build my life around it. And that's all you can do, because you have to learn how to establish a lifestyle, you know, because this is just a part of my life. You know, I tell people this is not my life. Right. You know, so I tell people it's like a pie chart. You know, I have a background in engineering, so it's a balance. You have to figure out that balance, and once you figure out that balance, you be good to go, and you're more accepting, and you're more free spirited, and you're willing to embrace the situation, you know, in a positive manner, and that's what you have to do. You have to keep a positive mindset, you know. But yeah,
it's like I say, it's one card in the deck. When I think about autism, you know, you have a deck of cards, and one of your cards is autism, and that's how I know that's my outlook on life and autism. Autism is just a facet of who I am, who our family is, and who he is. Right. He is still a 15-year-old boy that loves
attractive boy. Right.
He'll always be mama's boy.
Yeah, and he's a flirt too.
And he's a flirt.
He's a flirt.
I've heard.
When I say a serious flirt, he got game. I tell you that.
And you know, back to the co-occurring question you had. He was also diagnosed with dyspraxia or praxia, depending on how you background. That is similar to someone who's had a stroke and trying to gain their language back. But instead, in his situation, he never had language to begin with. So he has a hard time getting the message from his brain to his mouth.
Yep.
So a lot of kids with autism have the similar disability. So we work around that with communication apps. Actually, believe it or not, his favorite app is the Notes app in iPhone. He likes to just go ahead and type in what he wants. He doesn't need the PECS environment. PECS is the picture exchange communication system. But, that is the only other diagnosis that he has. He does not have any allergies except pollen, which most of us are allergic to. Well, a lot of us are allergic to. But otherwise, we go through a lot of the similar situations a lot of 15-year-old males go through. And autism is a part of who he is, but is not who he is.
Good. And I love that.
Yeah, and like I tell people, they're human beings, and just like typical kids, they do this, do the same thing sometimes with typical kids, So, sometimes people want to put us in a box and think that because we have kids with autism, they're limited. No, we as parents, we sometimes go through the same thing as those parents who have typical kids. Yeah. We just know their weaknesses. We know their shortcomings. And that's the way I look at it. I look at her, she's an eight-year-old little girl who just had weaknesses, shortcomings. And again, we build our life around it. With her, she used a device because she is nonverbal. But now she's beginning to try to express herself verbally. So that's a sign, which is great, it's a sign, that, hey, it might be coming. But I've already accepted. If it hasn't, we're going to still rock and roll with this thing. And we just want to make her comfortable and for her to be able to survive in this world. And that's all I can do.
Good for y'all, both of y'all. I love it. I love the positivity, and I love the framework shift. I love scoping in front of these frames because it is a frame shift. It is just a thought shift. It's just tweaking it just a wee little bit. But Derry, there's something that you said to me before that I wouldn't have normally have thought about it, but it makes complete sense. What's your philosophy about, your daughter in terms of love and relationships and just for any child on the spectrum or off the spectrum, any child with any particular special need? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, again, they're human beings. They have feelings. Just because they have autism doesn't mean they don't have any feelings. They may just can't express it. They like to hug, they like to kiss, they do it too, they can do all that as well, but you just have to, like I tell people, if my daughter is able to date, I will allow her to date. Now, the dating scene may be different. I may have to be there, but let them enjoy themselves. Let them be able to experience that, that type of lifestyle, but again, like I said, it may be different, but they should have the chance to find love if they can. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do. I do.
My daughter got game, and I know they're gonna be looking at. I already know. And her dad, he already ready for him. You know what I mean?
Oh, he's ready.
He's gonna size him up. So tell Amir he got to be ready. So you got to get him ready.
We're working on it.
I have to tell you that I don't share the same sentiment. Home with me for the rest of his life. And I'm not interested in sharing him with other women. But my son is 15 years old, and we've experienced situations of maybe feelings within 15-year-old, typical 15-year-old feelings within these kids that have a disability. When he was in middle school, we had a young lady, 12 years old, call him to talk to him. Now, it was an awkward situation considering he doesn't talk. He's not verbal. But mommy was still protective. Like, and who is this? But I am open to the dating scene, I guess, when he gets older, just because it's natural. Yeah. It's natural to everyone. It's definitely something that will occur. just whether someone has autism or not. And it's something that will be a learning experience for both of us. Mm-hmm. But as long as I believe if I stay open, we'll get through it.
Wonderful. Now, if he nonverbal and he got girls calling him, I mean,
right? I know. I think he figures out a way to communicate.
No, he's talking at school. That's what it is. I'm gonna talk at school, but when I come home, I'm gonna be mute. Okay, because I don't want to hear my mama and daddy mouth.
That's how it works, Dawn. That's how it works. You don't know what's going on at school with the girls because they don't share that, and that's what neurotypical boys would do.
Yeah,
that's what the neurotypical boys would do. So good for him.
Well, maybe, but okay.
Maybe. Just as maybe.
but as you see how we laugh about it. You know, you have to laugh about it. You know, it's life. You only live once, so enjoy it. You have to try to figure out how to enjoy the situation for what it is. Mm-hmm.
And that's what if we have a parent, and we talked about the stages of grief before, and there's a process that goes through, and you move in and out of it. You know, the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grief: denial and bargaining, anger, sadness, depression, acceptance, which may be where the laughter comes in. Mm-hmm. You know, with all of those, did you all go through any of those stages? And did you tend to dwell on any one longer than the other? You know, was there a significant period of anger? Was there a significant feeling of grief, of depression or sadness? Or were you able to just kind of smoothly transition to the acceptance and just kind of park there?
I believe I was in the denial stage initially, maybe that first year. And because it felt good to think that it's going to be okay, you know, and it was a safe zone for me mentally. And after the denial, I think I went into tiger mom mode and tried to help him. And that's when we experienced visiting different doctors and trying to figure out what was wrong with him. I encountered issues putting him into different programs because he would need a diagnosis. And so it became a full-fledged effort for me to get him that diagnosis. And after that, maybe around 4 or 5, I remember at one point feeling a bit burned out. Burned out in the fact that I felt like the last 4 years was getting him into a program, getting him a diagnosis, getting him into a program, getting him into the right program, you know, evaluating programs. And I remember going through a period where I was thinking, okay, I can't think about autism today because it was starting to encompass all of my thoughts mentally. So I'm not sure what part of grieving that would be, but I did feel like I took a temporary break once he was established in a program, thinking to myself, okay, Dawn, it's time to think about other things, you know, and touch on autism throughout, you know, maybe once a day, but not let it encompass all of my thoughts. And then after a while, I went into acceptance. You know, once I realized that he wasn't going to be diploma bound, and I don't know if the two of you have gotten to that point yet within your IEP process, but when you get to the point where you realize your child is not diploma bound, that acceptance definitely kicks in. Like, okay, this is something that we have to deal with for the rest of our lives, and that the path is not going to be the same as everyone else, but it's going to be okay.
And an IEP is?
Oh, that's right. Individual education plan. Yeah. You see, I had to think about that for a minute.
Yeah. We all do. Right. Mine is sitting behind me.
You asked me because I'm like, I just know IEP.
No, that was good. And, so yes. And you're right, because you do have to make that. Actually, this is the time. This is the time when they're around. Like you said, you had to make that decision. But this is the time because of third grade testing and the fact that third grade starts the assessments that are going to count towards the diploma. Parents are often met with that daunting task of deciding in second grade with your 8-year-old, is this child diploma bound or not? And that you're right, that can be overwhelming. But I like what you said about the fact that there's a combination of acceptance, Dawn, like you said, but then Daria, for you as well, you know, finding the laughter in the situation, finding the joy in the situation. Not every child that ends up with a diploma, you know, knows exactly what they're going to do for the rest of their life. I know 25-year-olds that don't know what they're going to do for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
Okay. So in a way, our children kind of have a little bit of a heads up, because we as parents start looking into their vision for what's going to happen to them when they're 18. I know some parents who are watching now. Di, I keep picking on you because I know you're here and that you're watching. But when I interviewed Di last year, her son was turning 18. And they were making the decision about what was going to happen in his life and making things. And I know they were in the process of working on apartments. And I love Di because what they do is, our parents, we find solutions to problems. We find solutions. There was no school in her area. So they built a school, and she became the principal of that school. Dawn, I love what you just said. You said we needed to put this child on a program and he needed a diagnosis. So if that meant that we were going to 4 different pediatricians, we were going to 4 different pediatricians. And if that meant from the course of 14 months old until the time that you were able to get into a program, you built a bridge if you had to. If there wasn't one that existed, you built one. So I'm glad, kudos to you as well. I'm glad that our parents end up doing that. So again, for those that are watching, please don't be discouraged if a road does not exist or a plan does not exist. What is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. Isn't that how it goes?
Right, that's right.
Okay, so it's talking about necessity, and we skirted past the love, but I'm going to come right back to it because we talked about you guys as being lovebirds. So dating from college to your respective spouses, for coming right out of Howard. Howard. Yes. So I can see that one thing that helps make the marriages last. I see 2 things so far. You'll have to pick me up on the rest. So one thing that seems to make the marriage last is friendship and connection, because I see that. Wine seems to play a part in it. I've seen the wine pass back and forth.
Big part.
Okay, so apparently wine plays a big part over there. So, but seriously, what else plays a role in maintaining the relationship, the marriage? We talked a bit ago about the fact that the divorce rate is substantially higher, unfortunately, in marriages where there are special needs children. So what have you done intentionally or serendipitously to maintain your marriages?
Well, I mean, in my case, it's friendship. Like I said, we go way back. So I knew my husband before we even started dating, you know, so we were both athletes. That's something we have in common. He played football and I played basketball. But we both like to have a great time. And I think that's important, you know. When you're with someone, the companionship, we like to do the same thing. We like to travel. We love music. We love to laugh. We love to joke. You know, we just like each other. I think that's the key. You gotta like them. You know,
that always helps.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we have a genuine love but liking of one another. So I would tell people, if anything happened between me and him, I will always like him. I will always like him. You know, but in this case, we have the roles, and he respect my role. He respected the fact that, okay, I'm a take charge person, especially in regards to this autism, you know, with Dara, and he let me do my thing. So I don't have much of a backlash or someone like a tug of war. Oh no, we're not going to do this. Oh, you ain't going to do that. It's like, okay, because he know I'm very passionate, and he know that whatever I do is in the best interest of our family and the best interest for Dara, my daughter. So he's like, okay, do your thing. Whatever you need from me, just let me know. So I'm in control of the situation. Not that I run him, I'm in control of the situation. And I think it's a mutual respect between us two. And he's let me do my thing. So I think that works. You know, everybody can't be in charge. You know, he's in charge of certain things and I'm in charge of certain things. But when it comes to this autism situation, I got that. And he know, and he'll tell everybody, oh, my wife handles that. And he's okay with, with saying that. And it's okay with me. Yeah.
And Dawn, how about for you?
I have to piggyback on what Daria said in regard to our roles. And my primary role with CJ is handling IEP meetings. And a lot of that is because I have a master's in elementary education. So he felt he can trust me to handle evaluating programs. But one thing I also want to touch on is that my husband and I have an incredible support system between my parents and his mother. When our kids were younger and we didn't have any time to ourselves, our parents would come and stay with our kids for the weekend so we can travel, because both of us like to travel. And I found that, just looking back, that without our parents involved, that we would have lost touch with each other. Our parents gave us plenty of opportunities every year to just get to know each other again. It's like, okay, so let me reintroduce myself to you, because we get so caught up with autism, household chores, work. We have 2 other kids that we forget to say, hey, how are you doing? So traveling for us is the key, and our support system allowed that to happen. And we are blessed to have wonderful grandparents in our life for our kids.
And same here too. I think that's key. I have, support system where they tell us, go somewhere, we'll watch the kids, so that will help keep the connection between us. And like now, sometimes we might not have to travel. We don't travel as much, but we might have day dates, where the kids at school and just me and him, or just an overnighter, just small stuff like that, to try to keep the connection, because you can become overwhelmed. And I have a 4-year-old, so I have another child as well. That sometimes you just look, and then time went by and you haven't done anything, so that's the key. Like you said, if you have a support system, that's awesome. That's very helpful to the situation.
Now, I promise I didn't intentionally plant you guys in the audience. They're the presenters, so I couldn't have planted them in the audience, guys. But the poll question that we have for tonight's webinar is almost exactly what you just said. So I'm going to publish that. But it is, what would support you most on your journey? And that was the last thing that you just said, is that both of you said that you had support. And you knew I was going to ask the question about marriage, but you didn't know. I didn't know what your responses were going to be. But I'm glad that both of you said that you had significant support systems. So for those who are in the audience, those who are watching the webinar live, if you're in the YouTube version, you can come on in here live and you can hit the replay. And if you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment. And if you leave the comment, I can still see it. We'll see it afterwards, of course. But I want to know, I want you to go ahead and let me know. Go ahead and poll in, chime in and let me know what would support you most on your journey. And here are the options that we have. These are the options that we kind of talked about and came up with some of the folks that are on my team. And I did ask the tag team, and you'll find out what the tag team is in a little bit, because they're on this list, believe it or not. But support online. So that would be like a Facebook group, okay? And then support in person. That would be, for example, like a meetup group. Some people have masterminds for businesses, but when it's, personal or more of a social nature, meetup groups would be an example. Written resources. So, if someone passed you a quick book, so if someone wrote a quick 40-page book about, special needs care, or an article. Are you the kind of person that you're big on Googling or Bing or Yahoo, whatever your favorite search engine is, for an article or a blog? What would be most important to you? What would be helpful for you? Or an audio resource. Podcasts are incredibly popular right now. And then video resources. And I put as an example YouTube channel, but then of course, as soon as I said podcast, that made me think about TED and TEDx, which are those very quick, brief. I think the limit for a TED talk is 18 minutes. So it doesn't have to be, a 4-hour excursion. And I didn't list it up here, but we could probably include for an in-person support, something like a retreat. So there are quite a few folks, and I'm just looking into what people are doing now. And I want to know what folks are doing, what's helping them out there. I'd like to know about the community. what would support you most on your journey? Is it an online support group like Facebook? Is it in-person support like a meetup group? Is it written resources like a blog or article or book? Audio resources like a podcast, or video resources? And I'm not sure if you guys can see, I'm going to keep the poll up. At least I think I'm going to keep the poll up. But what I'm going to do is I want to know, I'm going to ask you ladies what you all are doing, because you're doing something that is on this list. And I want you to tell us about what TAG is. I call you guys a TAG team. But what does TAG stand for? And where did you come up with that? What is it? What is it?
TAG. Okay, TAG. TAG stands for the Autism Grind. And it was something we came up with. The platform, we want to empower families to use each other, for support. We all going through the same thing, and we all grinding. So it's an atmosphere where we want it, as we say, want to keep it light and keep it moving. We want you to understand that, yes, your life may be a little bit different, but you still can find happiness. And that's the key. Once you find that happiness, then, the sky's the limit. But you have to be able to process the situation. You have to be able to accept the situation. You have to be open. You have to be honest. You have to be able to take in information, especially for those who are in your best interest. And enjoy life. You still have to enjoy life. And that's what we want to empower people to understand, that, hey, you still got it going on. You still can have it going on. You still can look good. You still can do some of the same things. You may have to do a little bit differently, but it can get done. But you have to want it to get done. You have to have that mindset to get it done.
I'm looking at the polls, ladies. My eyes lit up because I'm seeing the poll. I don't know if you guys can see the poll, but I can see the poll.
Now, what the poll saying? What the poll talking about?
I'm going to let y'all finish. Go ahead, finish.
Okay.
And I'll tell you. I promise you, I'll tell you.
At the moment, the Autism Grind has a Facebook page, and that's where we're sharing our journey. That's where we're sharing our experience raising a child with autism. We also have a group that is going to be more, I want to say, intimate, so that we can share personal experiences with one another, with people who love a child with autism, whether it's a caregiver, mother, father, grandparent, teacher.
Yeah, teacher.
So we also have that group available. And we plan to, in the future, have videos where we're going to say the do's and don'ts of raising a child with autism. And that's something that we'll share on our YouTube channel. So we plan on using all 3 social media platforms to help people to keep it light and keep it moving.
Okay. All right. Well, I will tell you the result of the poll so far. I'm going to leave it up. But so far, everyone in the community has clicked on those who have voted. Now, there may be some folks that haven't voted yet, but everyone has clicked on online support groups, such as a Facebook group.
Yeah. Well, they need to come to the Autism Grind.
Okay. So again, the Autism Grind is a Facebook group. And so it's literally the Autism Grind. And you can go on Facebook, and when you go there, you'll be able to see all of the wonderful things. And there are a couple things I wanted to spotlight about it. I'm sorry. I'm hearing back from the polls from the one of the moderators. Yes. Is number 1, yes? Oh, okay. So someone in the chat has said that they would. So it's 50-50 then. Well, maybe. So one of the responses from the chat that I can't see. So the moderator who can see it basically said that for the poll, there were some other, even though it's showing up on my screen as support group was number 1 Facebook group, that apparently someone else also did write in, because again, we've got folks on YouTube that I can't see. So apparently, in-person support was also selected. But that was the second thing that you said. You said first you have the Facebook group, which has blown up. I saw that the pre-launch has been going on the last 3 weeks, but in 1 week, you all have over 100 members in your support group in a week.
Yes.
Which is phenomenal. So again, that speaks to the need for the support group, which is wonderful. But the other folks that have been chiming in have said the support in person. So you said the intimate group. Can you talk more about this intimate group? What would that look like? So if there's someone watching right now, what would that look like if they were interested in what you're saying in terms of an intimate group? What is that?
So it may be that someone wants to share an experience where they may be having a difficult issue with a teacher and they don't know how to express that issue with their teacher. So they would express that in our group where we can all guide that specific person on how to handle that. But that's something that's an issue you would want to handle in an intimate setting.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
That's why we would have this smaller closed group.
Okay, so that sounds very much like a mastermind. So for business people, that's very popular, where they'll have folks get together, they'll meet in, they'll rent a hotel room and they'll just, for the day, they'll each get a chance to talk about the thing that's the most difficult that they're dealing with at that time. And then they get the collective wisdom of the group. Yeah. So something similar to that. That's awesome. I love the idea of a mastermind, but for autism. That's wonderful.
Where we want to, that no judgment.
The name.
Yes.
So the question is what the name for the group. So the Facebook page is The Autism Grind. And so the question that just came up is there a specific name for that group? Do you already have a name for that group?
The Autism Grind group.
Okay.
So the Autism Grind and then the Autism Grind group.
Okay. So the Facebook page. So again, right now, this evening after you get off the webinar, you certainly could go to the Autism Grind. It's on the Facebook page. I do believe it's an open group. I do believe it's an open group.
Right.
And then if you're also interested in being a part of, for example, a smaller, more intimate, the Autism Grind group to talk about specific things, right, then how could they reach you? Is there a way to message you, DM? How would they do that?
So there is a call to action button that says visit our group. And that is when you first visit our general page. Okay.
All right. So go to the Facebook group, and then you can click on the call to action to get into the actual group. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the poll from where I see it. So of the people that are in the webinar, hands and above, they said support group, the online support group. And then for the folks who were maybe outside of the group, who were on the YouTube page, it sounds like we had a lot of folks that were interested in the in-person group, which is great. And we have not seen a question, at least I haven't seen a question come up yet. Again, I've got some, oh yes, I'm sorry, I do apologize. So one of the questions was the name of the group. The other one is are you on Instagram?
Yes, we are on Instagram. The Autism Grind.
And it's the Autism Grind. So right, on Instagram, the Autism Grind. Okay. And just, I want everyone to be aware of the fact that, again, one of the things that I remember when I used to do child abuse research a fair amount. And it was a little confusing to me that there was a group. I mean, literally there were about 15 to 20 different groups that were kind of doing the same thing. But what I did like, and that was confusing for me when I first started getting into that research area as a public health student. But then what I noticed is every year in January, this group, most of these little groups from all over the place would convene in one location in January, and you would get to hear from all of these different groups, and they would network and they would connect and they would share resources. And I loved the power of that. And there's also another group called the Evidence-Based Medicine Group that talks specifically about when we kind of go overboard and start accusing everybody of child abuse, and that's not the way. But there's still another group, and what they do is, again, they collect a large body of evidence. So I want everyone to be aware that that's basically what the Autism Alignment Movement is. Over the next course of the next year, it's part of my mission in life to do a Dawn, where she basically said, I'm trying to get this baby diagnosed so we can get him in programming, okay? So I'm going to be a miniature Dawn for the next year. And it's all about making sure that you all are aware of the types of resources that are out there. Okay. So I don't get to reinvent the wheel. What I am doing is basically a giant collaboration. So when you're coming to these webinars, what you are hearing are either lay parents or parent experts or experts that have nothing to do with parents who are talking to us, or going to be talking to us about the initiatives that they're having either locally or internationally. So Di Maitland just put up the Facebook group. Don't you love her? She just put up the Facebook group. So you literally just can click on that. If you're in the webinar, you can just click right on that link and you should be able to see it. She put that up there. So I love the community. And you will also hear me shout out people that I know of that are doing some wonderful things. Di Maitland is a blogger in South Africa. She's also, you talked about self-care. I'm going to put that up in a little bit. But you talked about self-care for yourself. You both talked about taking time away from your children to go and do things for self-care. I'm going to publish this right now. This is a 5-day self-care course. This is just to get you started. These are some of the teachings that I've done over on Periscope to get you started. So if you aren't good at the self-care process, or if you and your spouse are struggling and you're not taking care of yourself, and it's like autism all day long, and you're living and eating and breathing autism, and it's not just one deck of the cards, it's like 52. Not good, not good. So that's an example for you. But Di Maitland talks about the fact that for self-care for her, she started using photography. And if you go to her blog, whoa, that's all I can say. The photographs, I mean, she happens to also be in South Africa. So Zebra just walked past her house, so she could just take a picture of them. I mean, they're beautiful. I mean, literally, she has a picture on her page of a zebra walking across the front of her car. But they're beautiful photography. But these are examples of self-care, okay? And we're joking about the wine because there's wine there, and but fine. But I'm not saying that we're going to do anything inappropriate. But what I am saying is, see what these women are doing. They are doing things to encourage community, to encourage collaboration, to make sure that we're supporting each other. So if you see people who are also in this webinar, again, Di Maitland's blog is called The Brighter Side of Life. Please go check out her blog. This is not just about Dr. Bergina. This is about Dr. Bergina making connections so that you can get what you need. You may be watching and you're in South Africa. Connect with Di Maitland. If you're watching and you're in the DMV, or not necessarily the DMV, you can still connect with the folks from the Autism Grind because there are stories. Now, for the personal meetup, it's probably going to be more convenient if you're in the DMV, unless you guys are going to travel. Maybe in the future, right?
Oh, I'm open to
but we interviewed Tawana Brown-Smith last week. Phenomenal. She's the author of The Mom's Guide to Travel. She gave away a Mom's Guide to Travel book last week, as well as a set of packing cards. I saw Alan was in the room. He won the set of packing cards. I'm glad you came back, Alan. Congratulations. And we have a gift tonight. I'm not going to share the amount because I don't know if I can share that. But I am going to say that we are giving away an Amazon gift card tonight. So we're going to go back at the end of the session. And for those who did chime in and come into the live webinar, then you are on the list and you'll get an email after the fact about the gift card for being a part of the webinar, because we do try to have folks constantly coming in and just giving and giving and giving. We want to give your socks off, okay? Because it is challenging enough to be a parent of a special needs child. So it's always nice when you're constantly giving, right? We're constantly giving. So it's nice when someone can give something back to us. So on behalf of the Autism Grind and the Autism Alignment Movement, one of the folks that are in this week are going to get a lovely Amazon gift card. So yay, exciting, joy. Okay. So I don't know if I can remove that one, but I am going to remove that one. Hopefully you've already added that to your card if you're interested. Okay, so I'm just going to go back and look at the chat and see if there are other questions. So I think we answered the questions that I saw so far. I think we answered the questions that have come up thus far. I did have a couple other questions for you guys, if you're okay with it.
Can I say one thing? Say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Well, I know get back on the self-care. I think working out. Working out for me is very, very important. That helps with my clarity. It helps keep my mind, my body, and and spirit intact. So again, like I said, you have to find outlets, and I think that's important as well. You working
absolutely.
I'm working on it.
She's working on working out. She's working on working out.
I am trying to get her.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you. And you know what? To start, just think about working out. Guess what? Some of the same hormones go increase in your brain and your blood system when you're just thinking about working out. Dopamine and serotonin go up. Endorphins, not so much. The dopamine and serotonin do go up when you're just thinking about working out, when you're thinking about that accomplishment. And then when you actually go work out, then serotonin really goes up. Dopamine really goes up. But it does go up a wee little bit when just thinking about it, okay? Just imagining it, which is a great thing. And I would be remiss if I didn't do this. Of course, my moderators and the other folks are reminding me to do this. And I'm also doing this to see if anyone else has any other questions. But there are some folks who are going to watch this interview series, and they are going to get phenomenal value out of watching the interview series. And I think that's wonderful. When you think about the folks that we have coming up, the pediatrician at the end of the month, Dr. Dana Stewart, she is a Johns Hopkins trained pediatrician who has been ranked #1 in her field. She's been selected Pediatrician of the Year. Woo, go Hopkins. Not that I'm biased. But she is a phenomenal pediatrician whose heart is with the autism community. She's going to be part of the interview series. We're going to hear from her at the end of this month. So I'm going to send out a save the date. So hopefully you'll be able to see that when the official newsletter comes out next week. This is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. So if you haven't hugged somebody special with a different ability, please go do so. Okay, doctor's orders. Please go hug someone and make their day. And we're also having, obviously, we're having this Facebook group, this online support group. So this is one safe place. I know there are some support groups that I've had people say, you know what, I signed up and it's not what I thought it was. And it was just icky. Tag, not icky. The Autism Grind, not icky. Safe place, safe space. You've already heard them say, keeping it light, keeping it moving. So my hope is that you'll learn about resources like this throughout the interview series, and this will meet your needs. I am going to have an open coaching call at the end of the month, which is kind of similar to what you said about the group, except it's not going to be in person. What it is going to be is an opportunity for folks, if they're interested. The last Tuesday in this month, which I think is March the 24th. It's going to be an open coaching call for about an hour to 90 minutes is what we're going to do. We'll see what people have, but it's basically for you to come with your questions. So if there is something going on right now where you're trying to take your child for a diagnosis and you're wondering, you know, what type of pediatrician should I be taking them to? I've heard about, you know, the Dan group and what is that? And should I be doing casein-free or gluten-free or nut-free or dairy-free? What is this? And if it has soy lecithin in it, does that mean it's really soy? And, you know, what is this? And what about all these other medicines? And should I be thinking about that? Should I put my kid with autism on a stimulant for ADHD? Because I've heard bad news about that. So it's going to be all takers. So anyone who has questions, I happen to have an M&D, so that comes in handy every now and again. So I'll try my very best to answer the questions. And I do promise that if I don't know the answer to a question within 24 hours, I will at least know the resource to send you to. Of course, please take advantage of the Facebook group that's there. And what I just put up is an offer for a strategy session. So anybody at any time can always go to my Calendly link. It's literally calendly.com/Dr. Bergina. And you can sign up and talk to me for about 20 minutes and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. We can talk about the Ravens if you want. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's not going to be a 20-minute conversation if we're talking about the Ravens though. But for those who are in the webinar and for those who are part of the Autism Grind community, you get an hour of my time and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And it's not a patient-provider relationship, but I will do my best as a physician to steer you in the right direction if you have questions or concerns from a psychiatric nature or from an autism standpoint, especially as it relates to diagnostic questions. I'll do my very best for that. So that offer's up there right now. Again, this is in honor of Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month because we want to be educated and we want to be aware so that we can make an impact, okay? It's all about making an impact individually, but also globally. So yay, exciting, exciting. I hope I didn't, does she have a tickle? Is she all right?
It tickled her throat.
A tickle.
Coughing.
Okay. All right. So, ladies, would you like to share anything else? Anything that I missed?
Anything that you missed?
Yeah. Did I miss anything?
I think you did a great job.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Same for you as well. I love it. I love being able to share information. That's what this is all about. It's all about sharing information, collaborating, and making sure people are aware of the resources that are out there. There are a lot of resources that I learned about when I went to ask for interviewees to be a part of this. that I didn't even know existed. And you're going to hear about them. I would just share it all now, but as my husband is very fond of saying, he's like, you don't want to overload people. So we're not going to overload people with all of the resources that I've learned about over the last year. What we're going to do is I'm going to share it a little bit at a time. Every month, we're going to have a different topic. So come back and join me to talk with Dr. Dana Stewart about any questions that you have from the concept of a pediatrician. But tonight, when you get off the webinar, you're going to go to Facebook and you're going to go to The Autism Grind. And you're going to go and you're going to look at cute baby pictures.
Yes. Come check us out.
And you're going to see my son's betrothed.
She's hot. She's kind of hot. I'm trying to tell you, she's hot.
Oh, I saw the pictures. I saw she had her blowout and everything. I was like, what?
Yeah, she's hot.
Okay.
Yeah, her hair straightened and everything.
She's on her way. She is on her way.
Beautiful. She is on her way. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, ladies, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I thank you for gracing us with your presence, for the interview, for the information, the words of wisdom. And for those who came in and chatted with us, so good to see you. Kamisha, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate that. I didn't welcome you personally. So thank you so much for joining and for asking questions and being a part of the community. You're all now part of the family. So we thank you so very much. And if you do have a question, definitely reach out to any of us. You can find me at Bergina Isbell, MD, just about everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And Facebook, it's Bergina Isbell. And again, of course, the Autism Grind for this dynamic duo right here, the ultimate tag team. So want to thank you so much. You guys have a very blessed night on purpose. Take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.